While flying over a remote area, Pilot Jack noticed a strange sight below, a group of animals running in circles. Intrigued by the unusual behavior, he decided to land nearby to get a closer look. As he got closer to the animals, his stomach dropped. What he discovered upon landing forced him to call the police immediately. "911, what's your emergency?" a voice said on the other end of the line. Jack hesitated for a moment, unsure of how to describe what he was seeing. "I think I need the police," he said uncertainly. When the dispatcher paused briefly, Jack knew he had to explain the situation more, but he also knew the dispatcher would never believe him. "All right, I have your location. Police are on their way," the dispatcher eventually said. But as he hung up the phone, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back, and everything turned black. When he woke up again, his face was cold from lying in the snow for a long time, and his body ached. But the pain was nothing compared to what he saw around him. His eyes grew wide with shock as he slowly got up and turned in a circle. His heart raced as he hoped the police would get to his location sooner rather than later. But why were the animals running in circles? What had hit Jack in the back? And what did he see when he woke up? But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Jack was a hobby pilot and owner of his own helicopter. Every weekend he would fly around, enjoying the views. But this time he saw much more than just a beautiful sky and a pretty horizon. As he looked down into one of the snowy fields, he saw what looked like a large hole. But as he lowered his helicopter, he saw that it was actually moving around. After landing his plane perfectly, Jack walked to the place where he had seen the animals. He could hear their hooves hitting the ground as they ran at full speed, even before he was close enough to see them. Finally, he stood face to face with the group of animals, and he gasped loudly. It was a group of deer, larger than he had ever seen before. It was like they were in a trance. Suddenly, Jack spotted something in the middle of the circle. His eyes grew wide in shock as he scrambled for his phone and dialed 911. As he hung up the phone, Jack suddenly felt a sharp pain in his back. He fell to the ground and everything turned black. He had no idea how long he had been knocked out on the ground, but when he woke up again, one side of his face was numb from the cold, and his clothes were soaked because of the snow. Jack wiped his forehead, smearing the blood mixed with snow. The world spun as he attempted to orient himself, but all he saw was the endless swirl of white. The near miss snapped him to the harsh reality of his situation. He was in the middle of nowhere. The sound of hooves pounding the ground became a constant echo around him. More deer dashed by, their eyes wide with fright. Despite the throbbing pain in his head and the numbing cold, Jack knew he couldn't stay still. He glanced around, spotting a cluster of trees nearby. He quickly scanned his surroundings, realizing the forest might offer some cover from the stampede. Attempting to navigate through the trees, Jack aimed for what he thought was a safe path. But the unpredictable nature of the stampede proved too much. He was sideswiped by a deer, thrown off balance. This fall was a brutal reminder of his vulnerability in this untamed environment. He pushed himself up, his breath visible in the cold air, as he took a moment to assess his injury. The sounds of the stampede still echoed around him, a constant reminder of the danger he was in. He knew he had to keep moving to find a way out of this perilous situation, despite the overwhelming odds against him. Jack, catching his breath behind a tree, peered out at the enclosing ring of deer. Jack noticed a less dense area within the circle. He observed the pattern of the deer, timing their movements. This path, risky as it was, seemed like his best chance to get away from the outer edges of the stampede, where he was more exposed to danger. Jack waited for the right moment. As soon as a gap widened, he seized his chance. Pushing off from the tree, he sprinted with all his might towards the center, dodging the startled deer. Reaching the relative calm of the center, Jack allowed himself a moment to catch his breath. The difference was stark. The frenzied motion and noise of the stampede were now at a distance, surrounding him but not engulfing him. As Jack steadied himself in the center, a flicker of memory returned. He had seen someone before. Everything went black. He turned in place, trying to spot any movement in the trees that encircled him, his heart rate accelerating with the fear of the unknown. The deceptive peace of the circle made Jack understand that danger wasn't only coming from the stampeding deer. Jack's initial panic turned to decisive action when he spotted a huddled figure near a tree, blending into the snowy background. Approaching, he found an unconscious man, bruised and battered. The injuries were not solely from the stampede, hinting at an earlier struggle. Despite the danger, Jack couldn't leave him behind. Driven by compassion, he resolved to help, carefully dragging the man toward what he deemed a safer spot. Every movement was calculated, balancing the need for speed with the risk of exposure. The mystery surrounding the man lingered in Jack's mind. Who was he, and how had he ended up here? Yet, Jack's focus remained on ensuring their immediate safety. He used torn pieces of his clothing to create makeshift bandages, doing his best to tend to the man's injuries. The small act of care formed a silent bond between them, a beacon of humanity amidst the chaos. Jack worked tirelessly to improve their shelter, using snow and branches to shield them from the relentless cold. The man stirred slightly, murmuring faintly. Encouraging him to stay awake, Jack kept an eye on the surrounding deer. Their frantic circling slowed, hinting at a change. This subtle shift brought a glimmer of hope, as did the distant sound of sirens breaking the silence. Jack whispered reassurances to the man, promising help was near. As the rescue team arrived, their precise and efficient efforts brought immediate relief. Paramedics stabilized the injured man, preparing him for transport. As he regained consciousness, the man revealed he was a local deer farmer. The stampede, he explained, was a protective response to a wolf threat. This revelation clarified the unusual behavior of the deer, adding a layer of understanding to the day's events. With the commotion settling, the farmer, grateful for Jack's courage, extended an invitation to visit his farm. This gesture symbolized a newfound friendship forged in adversity. Their ordeal, though harrowing, ended on a note of warmth and connection. The authorities ensured everyone's safety, marking the end of a trying day. As Jack reflected, the strength found in adversity and the bonds formed became a source of inspiration. The experience was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, light and new beginnings could emerge. At the end of the day, as Jack gazed at the snow-filled sky, he felt a deep sense of gratitude for what had transpired. Amid the chaos and danger, he discovered new meanings of courage and sacrifice, realizing that even in the darkest times, humanity's light can shine through. The ordeal served as a powerful reminder that hope can always be found, and the bonds formed during crises have the potential to last a lifetime. We hope you enjoyed this story. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done if you were in Jack's shoes? Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next exciting story. Your support keeps us going and inspires us to bring you more amazing content. Thank you for watching.